Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Vinnie here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Adam, and he's selling his dropshipping business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, Adam. How are you doing today?
Hey Vinnie, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely fine, thank you very much, and really looking forward to talking about your dropshipping business today. And for our listeners, I'm just going to go over a really brief summary of what we are dealing with here. So today's listing is a dropshipping business in the entertainment niche, and it was created in October 2017. The average monthly revenue for the business is $116,023, and it makes an average of $36,119 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are a primary domain and all of its contents and files, some social media accounts including Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter and Instagram. There's also YouTube accounts included, and there's an email list with over 1,000 subscribers there. Head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 48865 to learn more about the business. If you want to start your due diligence, just remember to unlock the listing first. So, Adam,
Yes.
Now that we've gone through that, tell me a bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into building and running online businesses? Was this, a dream you've had since you were young, or is this, something that you just stumbled into?
Well, kind of a combination of the two. I started my first e-commerce store way back in 2001, and I was a teenager at the time. And so I came about it in an interesting way. So at the time, I ordered something on eBay. I think it was just like a CD case, like a case to keep my music collection. And I ordered it from eBay, and then it came in from a retailer. And I put the dots together, and I realized that someone drop shipped it. So I figured, well, if they could do that, why don't I do that? So then as a teenager, I essentially created a eBay online, it was like retail arbitrage, and started a business on the side that way. So I've always had like an interest and a passion, desire for e-commerce. And I had run that eBay business on the side for a while. And then throughout high school, college, even a little bit into professional life. Then in terms of this business, I was really looking more for like a real legitimate drop shipping model. Because again, that was just more of like retail arbitrage. So this business, fast forward to 2017, did a lot of research and again decided to get into that entertainment niche, reached out to a number of suppliers, and it was off to the races. Established relationships, got the products up, and started working with customers and got that business set up. So it was very exciting.
Right, okay. So, it sounds like you were a pretty unusual kid. Sounds like you were bitten by the entrepreneurial bug from a very young age. I don't think that's the first thought a lot of kids would have had, to reverse engineer that and start their own retail arbitrage system. So it sounds like you were almost made for this. Well, that's great. You kind of touched on another question I was going to ask you, which was, how did you come up with the idea to start this business in particular? So, our listeners out there who are really interested in getting into online businesses, what would you recommend, or what advice would you give them on why dropshipping is a really great business model to get started with?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal business to get started with. So one of the reasons why I got into this is, one, traditionally for starting it, it can be a lower upfront capital compared to other businesses. But, whenever you're not investing a lot of money up front, then you're kind of bootstrapping. So there's a lot of work and hours and grit involved, clearly, to get it where it is now. But what I love about the dropship business model is the location independence. And that was really my goal from the beginning. I wanted to create a business that I can grow and basically be wherever I want to be. So the real attract to the business model is that you don't need to have any inventory. My business specifically all of my suppliers are based in the United States. There's various warehouses that we ship the products from. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I could be anywhere on vacation and orders come in, and then the team will, reach out to suppliers and do what they need to do to get the orders fulfilled.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's probably one of the biggest motivators why a lot of people start their own online business or get into it, that location independence factor where they can just have complete flexibility on when and where they work. So that makes absolute sense. So I just want to touch on the fact that, you've grown this $1 million business. It's, earning really, really good revenue, all from scratch over the course of 3 years. But, a lot of our listeners will be wondering why you're selling the business right now instead of keeping it or growing it.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. So one of the reasons why I started the business in the first place was for another passion of mine. I've been very interested in personal finance and specifically financial independence. So outside of the e-commerce community, I'm also a part of the financial independence community, also known as FIRE, a financial independence retire early. So when I started this, the goal was to supplement my income for my day job. And, I grew this business on the side. So throughout growing it, and even now, I still have a full-time job. And basically with that financial independence, going back a number of years, I've always had a number in mind of what I needed to retire early and really focus on what's most important to me, which is, my family and relationships. And and it's just been a lot. So doing my full-time job, and even though, I have a team in place that runs the operations, at the end of the day, as the owner, it's still on me, and I'm like a bit of a perfectionist, and it's hard for me to let go. So to this day, I'm still looking at every single email communication and chat. I just like to stay on top of everything. So the reason why I'm selling is really to get to my original financial independence / freedom goal. I looked at the numbers. I got, was working with Empire Flippers, got the valuation, and I realized that if I sell it, then I hit my number, able to retire early, and then I can focus on the other things that are important in life to me.
Sure. So, like you say, that time factor and making sure that you've got enough time to continue running it and focus on all the other stuff that's going on as well. It makes sense that the timing right now is just about right, really, to let go of the business so you can, like you say, meet your financial goals. So
yeah,
that sounds awesome. So let's dig into the business a bit more then. So, you've built this business over the course of 3 years. What did you feel really worked for you while you were building this dropshipping business, like whether for the business model or the niche? What did you feel like the strategy, the tactics actually worked?
Yeah, so digital marketing is definitely a big reason for the success of this business. I did a lot of research and built up my skills for the digital marketing, and the campaigns are set up very strategically to make sure that the traffic that comes in is high qualified traffic. So I think that's probably been a huge beneficiary, because by the time that a customer, they click the button to live chat or they pick up the phone to make a call, they're typically very hot leads. So it's been great because, the staff that handles the support, they don't necessarily need to be really good at sales. It's more of a, soft sales and just helping the customer what they need and kind of pointing them in the right direction. So it's much easier to get the sales end that way because of all the work and configuration that was, previously set up. So I think that's been good. And as we got in more customers, the customer service has really been a huge focus on the business. And because of that, we have, almost all 5-star reviews. And that resulted in a lot of repeat business, referrals. And I would say that's probably the main things would be the digital marketing. And, I also designed the site from scratch as well. So I had trust in mind. I remember looking at some studies, and they were saying that lack of trust was the number one reason why someone would not buy or why they would abandon their cart. So knowing that was kind of that 80-20 rule, that trust was such a big factor, I wanted to make sure that I, went heavy on that. So it turned out well. Customers trust. We're selling very expensive items here. It's a high-ticket dropshipping store. So, just before they're spending thousands, and some of the products are over $10,000, they want to make sure that they can trust the company. So, and I feel like we've definitely established that.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. That, with e-commerce businesses, branding is all encompassing, and trust is definitely one of the biggest factors that goes towards building that, really good and trustworthy brand for sure. And you mentioned digital marketing. We'll touch on that in just a second. But I wanted to ask you, because you've just covered some of the things that did work for the business. What about the other strategies or things that you had in mind that you tried that didn't work?
That's a good question. Trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a grind, I would say, for things that didn't work. So yeah, earlier on, I think we noticed that we get sometimes like too many suppliers too quickly. And it was kind of just putting as many products as you could on the site and then try to see what sticks. And then early on, I realized quickly that wasn't the best approach. But it's a good learning experience because you quickly learn, what suppliers are good, which ones have problems, which profit margins are better than others. And then based on that information, which, we've learned throughout the years of having the business, we're able to put that data into the marketing. So basically stop spending money on the products that don't sell well, stop spending money on the trouble brands. There's even been some brands that we've removed from the website, again, going back to that customer service and the trust. So I kind of had like a 3 strikes and you're out rule. So if there was a specific product or a certain instance that came up with a supplier, it just wasn't worth the time. And yeah, we would drop them. We've grown to a point where suppliers are reaching out to us. So it's kind of interesting. Like when I started the business, it was completely flipped where, they're the gatekeeper and I'm kind of need to prove myself of why they should let us sell their products. But now that we've gotten to this point, it has flipped. I mean, we've reached out to very, reputable and well-known brands and industry asking us to sell their products. And I mean, sales have been so busy recently, and I feel like we don't have enough staff to keep up with it. So I've actually, limited, like I'll be picky about who we decide to put on our website and what brands we decide to carry because of it.
That's some really, really good insight there. Sounds like you were able to nip a lot of the problems in the bud before they became, like long-lasting and chronic. So it sounds like the lessons that you did learn, you learned them quickly, and then you were able to correct them before things veered off course. Mm-hmm. So I just want to touch on the digital marketing side. I noticed that the traffic is relatively split and diversified across paid and organic channels. I mean, what do you do in terms of marketing for the business right now?
Yeah, so I would say the primary source of marketing for this business is Google ads, primarily Google shopping ads. And yeah, that would be the core. Again, we have been strategic. So as we get more data, so the way that Google shopping works is that you can't specifically state the keywords that you want to use. So Google, however they have their algorithm set up, and of course they're constantly changing that, they'll show our products based on certain searches that Google thinks the search relates to the products. But when you go into the data, you're able to see what search term led to a sale. And we were able to use that data and be very strategic to basically do more of what's working using other marketing strategies to continue success there. It's primarily Google. Because we've done so well on Google, Google has also rewarded us with organic traffic. We have many of our best sellers, we rank in the number 1 or number 2 spot organically for very high converting terms. So we've had some success there. So I know Facebook ads are extremely popular in e-commerce. As of now, we're actually not running any Facebook ads at all. So I feel like that's a huge opportunity. And also email marketing is another huge opportunity. We have an email list, as you mentioned. We have over 1,000 members on the list. We really haven't been working, we haven't actively been trying to build that list. That's just kind of, natural. And we currently have just basic abandoned cart campaigns set up, but there's really a huge opportunity. I know some people that get more than 40% of their overall sales are from email marketing, and we're not doing any of that right now. So there's definitely a huge growth opportunity for both Facebook ads and email marketing, and I'm sure many other avenues as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's the reason why they say the money is in the list, right? Email marketing is far from dead. And if you use it right, it can really give you a nice bump in revenue and traffic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good as well that you mentioned that there's a big SEO factor that's come in for your dropshipping business, because I think a lot of dropshipping businesses typically tend to struggle to generate, like organic traffic. A lot of them can be a bit over reliant on the paid searches. So yeah, that sounds like a really good progression there, which is awesome. Now I want to touch on what running the business looks like. I mean, can you talk to me about what the type of work that you do on the site and on the business for maintenance, or maybe like a day-to-day or like a weekly basis?
Yeah, sure. So I will admit that I individually was running this business on my own for way too long. I should have outsourced a lot sooner. And, that was something that I had to learn. I didn't have any experience, at the time of hiring and managing and outsourcing. So earlier on, it took me a while to go through a few people. And for a long time, I had someone working part-time. And it wasn't really until early this year when, I finally felt like I cracked the code and, I got someone good and they were able to work full-time, 40 hours a week. And I was able to delegate much of the workload over to them. So now they're the ones that are processing the orders and, doing the phones and the live chats and the order status and the order fulfillment and basically speaking with customers and taking care of the sales. And I've even gotten them to update the SOPs. So, if we're going through a new process or if we found a way to streamline a process, now they're the ones that are able to go in there and make those edits. So in terms of my time now, again, I do have a day job, and another reason why I had to outsource it because it was getting pretty crazy before. But for now, it's really just managing it. I spend maybe about 30 hours a week just because I am, to be honest, I'm a bit of a control freak and a perfectionist, and it's, hard for me to, let go now in my role as the owner. So I just care so much about the customer that I want to make sure that everything's done correctly, and the team does a phenomenal job. But yeah, to this day, I just read every single email and every live chat and every communication, and I just like to be kept in the loop. So that's why it takes up my time. But yeah, I mean, the team does a great job running everything. So I'm very fortunate that I was able to offload that onto them.
Right, got you. So if I'm understanding this correctly, I think it's a couple of VAs helping you out with the business.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like, you've managed to delegate most of the day-to-day tasks to them. It's just you're sort of like playing a supporting role, just making sure that everything's sort of ticking along and running an order and dipping in and out, like you say, just to make sure that everything's going okay.
Yep, that's right.
So yeah, Adam, that sounds great. Okay, just treat me as if I was someone who had no idea what dropshipping was, or had no idea about the entertainment niche, but wanted to step in and acquire the business and take it off your hands. What would you say are some of the skills or requirements I should learn or brush up on in order to be able to hit the ground running?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I wanted to talk on this. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like this business, it means so much to me. So whether I'm the owner, and I have kind of flipped back and forth in my head whether or not I want to sell it. So, I've decided that, if I can get the price, then it makes sense and I'll sell it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that the person that buys it, they are set up for success and they have the right skills in place, not only run the business, but grow the business. So, as I mentioned earlier before, I didn't have any experience outsourcing and hiring and managing. And I kind of figured that out as I went along. And quite frankly, I have a long way to go. So I think the biggest bottleneck in the business right now is that skill of being able to hire more people and manage a bigger team. So for someone that's new to dropshipping and was interested in getting this business, I think if someone already has that experience and the skills of knowing how to hire and train and manage, I mean, the growth of this business is huge. I do think that would be vital for it with those skills.
Lots of great nuggets there, and loads of really useful information for the right buyer. Let's talk about opportunities. If you were to stay with the business, and keep growing it, what are some opportunities for growth?
Yeah, there are so many. There really are. So yeah, we kind of touched on this a bit before. So email marketing, we're not doing any of that. That's a huge growth opportunity there. We already have a good list, but building the list, marketing to the list, getting repeat sales, sending out, promotional email marketing, Facebook ads. So I feel like cold traffic could work, but the bigger opportunity would really be retargeting. Again, these are expensive products, so it's not like, a lot of times when people think of drop shipping, it's like less expensive items from China, and those are more impulse buys. That's not this. Again, most of our customers, they're spending thousands of dollars. So most of them, they need to already know what they want to buy. So there's a big opportunity for Facebook retargeting, which we're currently not doing. And there's also a huge product catalog. I think, just at the top of my head, I feel like maybe we have between like 20, 30 suppliers that we're working with. But I have a list of, again, I'm just guessing on the number, but maybe 50 or so other suppliers that I had planned to reach out to get approved, to get the products up. And, with everything going on in my life, I just didn't have the time to do that. And now other suppliers are reaching out to us. So yeah, this business, there's a lot of growth. And I mean, you could just constantly keep adding new suppliers, adding new products. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we finally got around to adding a new brand on the store. And it was actually on our product upload backlog for a while. And I forget what it was, something we saw, or a customer mentioned something asking if we had that product in stock. So we decided to get it on the site. We put it on the site, and then next thing we know, like 3 days later, we started getting a lot of sales in for a specific item, and of course kicked ourselves for not getting it on sooner. So yeah, a lot of opportunity for sure.
That's great. I just want to ask you about risks, really, because obviously with all businesses, there's always going to be inherent risks in running and building them. What are some of the biggest risks with this business that you think a buyer should be aware of?
Yeah, so first thing that comes to mind, and I mean, this is probably common with a lot of e-commerce, is there's things outside of your control. So again, the dropship business model has a lot of things to love about it. But on the other thing, because you're not manufacturing the products and you are not the one shipping the products, things can go wrong. And that's fine. I feel like at this point in the business, everything that could go wrong, we know about it and we have it documented, and we know how to handle it. But it's important to make sure that you either have good customer service skills, or how to hire people to have the skills that are necessary to work with those customers. And I kind of touched on this before, but like the management is very important. The management is really what would be vital to take this business to the next level. Because again, what it is right now, like we have too many sales that we can handle, and I don't want the team to be overwhelmed. So the way that I run the business right now, like I sincerely want every single customer to have a VIP customer service experience. And if we have too many customers, then we're not able to deliver that. So, I mean, the way that I run it right now, maybe it's a little bit too much, but like when a customer reaches over email, we try to write back like very quickly, like preferably within 15 minutes versus a lot of customers sometimes expect, 24 to 48 hours. And if things get extremely busy, maybe it turns into that, but we really try. Right now we have very high service standards. So yeah, just be keeping up with that. But what I was saying before is that because of those standards, we've been scaling back advertising because we're unable to keep up with the demand. So then the logical next step would be, then to hire and train more people. But honestly, that's kind of my bottleneck. Again, I'm still learning that skill. So, I don't know how to really grow or run a larger team. So someone that has that skill set, this would be a great business for.
Okay, these are really fair points for sure. I'm just going to go on a slight tangent here and just touch a bit go slightly deep into your background, really. Some of the things that help you grow as an entrepreneur. Was there any one or any particular resource that you felt was, really helpful when you were building the business? This might be certain communities or influencers or, just any person or thing really that helped you learn more about dropshipping.
Yeah, there were a couple of courses that I took, definitely helped me along the way to build the business and, make sure I was doing it right. Yeah, there's a few Facebook groups that I'm in as well and communities. And, I would always try to, seek out the people that the next level of where I want to be. And, I got better at making an initiative to network and reach out to people over Facebook Messenger and start conversations. And, I always try to provide value to other people. So I kind of like start off and ask how I can help them and maybe give them some tips and things that have worked for me. And then, giving to them, a lot of times value would come back, and the knowledge definitely did help with the journey for sure.
Right, so sort of growing your network, that kind of had a good reciprocal relationship going on there, that where you could give value and you got some back as well. Were there any software or tools that helped you when you started running the business?
So the business, it runs on Shopify, which I feel like is probably pretty common for e-commerce. I know there are a number of platforms, but this one is specifically on Shopify. And Shopify, very easy to use. I mean, I had not used Shopify before I used it for this business. No, but Shopify was great. Besides that, Google Drive to serve as the repository of all the documents and spreadsheets. We do have like a master tracker to streamline, earlier on, like when we got new sales in, or if we had to get certain details, everything was all in Gmail, and that was very messy. So yeah, we kept it clean. We now have a master tracker that has a list of all the suppliers and contact numbers and email addresses and, shipping dimensions and like frequently asked questions. So like a discount guide. So that really helped the team because, earlier on, the team would ask me a lot of questions, and I got kind of tired of answering the same thing over and over again. So we were constantly adding to that tracker within the spreadsheet, and that's definitely been a big help.
Okay, cool stuff. Well, just the last couple of questions from me, Adam. If you, looked on the other side of the looking glass, put yourselves in the shoes of a buyer, why would you think that this dropshipping business is worth buying?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think it would be worth buying is because, me as the current owner, I've already put, those hours, the time, the grit, a lot of long nights and weekends to get it where it is. So as I mentioned before, starting these types of businesses, it doesn't need to be expensive, but you have to make up for that with time. So I've already put in the hard work, the marketing campaigns, they're already set up. Anything could be optimized and improved, but, it's definitely working as is, based on the numbers we have. We already have great organic traffic. So yeah, a lot of it is just already set up to put them in the place of instant success. And then again, if they have the proper hiring and management skills, it would be very easy to take it to the next level. And like with the marketing, like I said, so based on the standards that I currently have in place, just because I care so much about the customer service, we've been lowering the advertising. But every single time I go into Google Ads, when I look at my campaign, across the board for most of our products, including all of our best sellers, we get a little note and it says limited by budget. So Google's basically telling us spend more money and we'll give you more sales. So, if someone knows how to put the right team in place and grow it, I'm not saying this loosely. I honestly believe you could probably double the revenue of the business very easily as long as you have the right support structure in place. So huge growth opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that you think I might have missed?
No, I don't think so. No, great questions. I think we've probably covered it all.
That's awesome stuff. Well, Adam, that's the end of the interview for today. So thank you for joining me, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Thank you very much, Vinnie.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 48865. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.